Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this session on how to make the most of our digital platform. My name is Ainhoa Ochoa, and I am an educational consultant at Macmillan Education, and I'm responsible for secondary, bachillerato, and adults.
Hi, everyone. My name is Susana Martin, and I am Digital Portfolio Manager at Macmillan Education, and I am responsible for our digital platforms. We'd like to welcome you to this series of online webinars with a specific focus on our digital platform for teachers using adults material.
In this session, firstly, we're going to review how to access the Macmillan Education Teacher App and set up your classes. We're going to demonstrate some of the key features of the platform with a specific focus on the new features. We're going to look at some easy ways in which teachers can use the platform to enhance classroom practice. We're going to have a look at the Students app. And finally, we're going to have a look at how to use our digital content with third-party platforms such as Google Classroom.
Right. So as many of you already know, Macmillan Education Teacher App is the digital solution developed by Macmillan for all our ELT courses. It has different features depending on which course you are teaching, primary, secondary, and bachillerato, or adults. And as we have said, today we are focusing on the platform for adult users. So let me share my screen and start from the beginning. So I'd like to start reviewing how to register and how to access the Macmillan Education Teacher App, depending on if you are already a user or if this is your first time with our platform. Okay, so this is macmillaneducationeverywhere.com, which is a website that works as the main access point for both new and existing users to access their digital content. I'm going to begin with the new users and to explain how to register, because if you are a new Macmillan user, you will first need to register here to create your Macmillan account. So we click on register, we choose register a new account, and the first step is to select your profile, which in this case is non-student, and the country where you are, and click on next. And the last step is to add your personal data, your name, last name, email, and choose a username and password. And once we are ready, we just click on submit to finish the process. Okay, it's quite easy.
So what about existing users, that is, teachers who have used the platform last year? Do they need to register again?
No. If you already have a Macmillan account, you can log in at macmillaneducationeverywhere.com with your username and password. So there's no need for you to create a new account. I'm going to do that. Okay, so we click on login. And of course, if you don't remember your access details, you can recover them anytime by using the forgotten username or forgotten password links that we have on the login page. Once we are logged in the site, you can now use the access code that you have received to activate your content. As you can see here in the screen, I have already activated Macmillan English Hub, and it might be your case if you were teaching with this course last year. But if you are new and you have received an access code, you can activate it by clicking on the Activate Code button. And you just need to copy and paste or type in the access code and click on Activate Code, right? So it's quite easy to activate new materials. Now that we are all on the same page and we all have an active account and we have added our access code, I think we're ready to access the digital content. I think it's worth mentioning that we are doing this session using Macmillan English Hub, and the content of the webinar is valid also for teachers using the AOI version and ready for 4th edition. So now Ainhoa is going to explain us how to access the digital content. I'm going to click on Macmillan English Hub.
Okay. So once we've accessed our course, we will see different tabs to access the content. On the first one, we have the Macmillan Education Apps. In this tab, you will find access to the digital platform, the Macmillan Education Teacher App. This is where you can find access to the interactive version of your digital students book and workbook to project on the interactive whiteboard if you're teaching in class, or share it during your online classes. In these level tabs, you will find access to other digital resources related to the course you teach, such as the test generator tool or the Teachers Resource Center. You will see different tabs depending on the levels that you're teaching. If you're teaching in an EOI or in a private language school, that is an academia, as we call it.
Right, yeah, for this session, we have a mix of content in our tabs, but let's go back to the first one to access the digital platform. If you click here on View, you will see different options. The first one, View in Browser. This is to access online via the web browser. And of course, you need an internet connection to use this mode. Download the app right here to be able to access offline to your digital content. You can download the content in order to access it without the need of an internet connection, or for example, if your internet connection is not reliable, right? Internet connection is also needed to log in the first time and of course to download the content. This option here, View in App, this is just a reminder. So if you already have downloaded the app, you don't need to download it again. Just open it and log in to access the content. Okay, for this webinar, we're using the View in Browser option. So let's click on the View button and the content will open in a new tab. Before going into detail, let me explain you about these icons in the corner. They allow you to change the location of the menu, which is quite useful if you are using an IWB in the classroom. Okay. And this feature later, we will go through them later, but I wanted to highlight two things here. These links to the Teacher Resource Center and the test generator give access to the same content that Ainhoa has shown us in the Macmillan Education Everywhere website. So it is the same, but you can use the access that it is easier for you. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight here is the online lesson option that enables you to access Google Meet, Zoom or Teams from within the app and schedule a meeting for your students to join if you need, but without leaving the platform, right?
Okay, so before opening the Digital Students book, could we have a look at how to create a class and add the students, Susana?
Yeah, I think that is a great idea. Let's start from the beginning, and on the side menu, we click on classes. It will open again as a new window or tab. And as you can see here, I have already created a class for this session. But if you are new, the first time you access this screen, it will be empty. And to create your first class, we just need to click here on Add a Class. You can type the name of your class here and select the course that your students will have access to and click on Next. Okay, the first time you set up a class, you will see the different options that we have to add our students to our class. Okay, we can use any of these options right now, or we can cancel and do this later. And I'm going to cancel right now because I want to show you how to open this menu again. So I'm going to cancel. This is the class that we have just created. So we click on it and we access the Manage Class option. And here is our class, right? Currently it is empty. And to see the options again to add students, we click here on the Add Students button. And here we have again the 4 options. The first one is I will add my students manually. With this option, you can type your student's first name, last name, and the contact email into the files for as many students as you need. Okay?
But Susanna, this looks like quite a manual process, which is okay if you only have one student. What happens if you have large number of students, which is what usually happens with every single class? Is there any way to make it a bit more automatic?
Yes, let's see the next option, because I think you might prefer to use that one, which is called use a CSV file spreadsheet to add my students. Okay, in this case, you can add your students to the class in bulk, uploading a CSV file with this data required. Okay.
But I wonder what CSV file is. And I guess that many teachers are asking the same question. How do I get this type of file?
Right. Yeah, to create a CSV file, you just need to create an Excel document with these 3 columns that you are seeing here in the screen, right? In fact, you might already have this document for other purposes, but anyway, when you have it ready, when you have your Excel documents with these 3 columns, the first one with your student's first name, the second one with your student's last name, and the third column with the contact email, you just need to save it as a CSV file instead of Excel. And then we will be ready to upload the CSV file into the platform and add all our students automatically. Okay, so it's quite easy.
And regarding the contact email, which email should I be using? Can I use mine or a fictitious one that I invent?
Right, that's a good question. You could do that, but know that if your students need to reset their password at some point, the email with the steps to do it will go into this email. So if it is a fictitious one, they will never receive it. And if you use your email, you will be getting the password reset link. That's okay, maybe if you are in the classroom with them, but if they need to reset the password during the weekend, they will never get the password reset link. So my recommendation is to use real email accounts, okay? Let's see the next option. I'm going to cancel this, click again here. And the next one is this, get students to add themselves. This is as simple as to set a class code with your students so that they can join the class. When they access the platform as students, they will see an option called join a class, and they just need to copy and paste or type in this code in that file.
I think this is my preferred option because this way students do all the work.
Yes, and it's quite simple, so it's very easy for them to do it. There is a fourth one that might be useful for those that are already users from last year, which is copy students over from an existing class. So if you already have classes created and students are moving to the next course, you can simply copy those students from this class into a new class and remove them from the previous class to avoid having them duplicated, right?
Okay, and what can I do with my class as a teacher now that it has been created?
Right, let me go back and open the other class that already has a student on it to show you the options. Okay, I'm opening this. So here we are. This is the class that we have created. And in here, you will be able to see and edit your student data. You can add new students to the class, as we have seen. You can also remove them, or you can, for example, reset their passwords if you need it.
And how do we do that? Because when I talk to teachers, it's very common that they have a student in the class who doesn't remember his password, and that actually delays the class a lot. Is there any way to reset the password?
Yes, you have 2 options here. One is this, the new password button, that will generate a new automatic password for the student. And I mean, the platform will generate an automatic password for them, right? Okay, so you cannot edit that password. But you can also click on the student name and choose a new password for them. You can see these pencil icons. These are files that you can edit. So we can click here and choose the password that we want for this student, okay? And now that we know how to create a class, I think we can move to the content side of things and do a quick walkthrough of a unit to see the platform functionalities. So let's go back to the main menu here. Okay, I'm going to select the course. In my case, I only have access to Macmillan English App V2, but you will see here all the titles that you have access to. Click on the course, and here you have the components that you have access in your license: the digital student book, the digital workbook, and also the preparation and practice material, which is a student component, but you also have access to it in case you want to use it, or if you want to have a look to what your students have access to. Let's open the digital student book. I'm going to access unit 1 and the first lesson here. Okay. So the first thing you will see here is the page of the book. What do you think we can do here, Ainhoa?
Well, it looks quite easy to use and navigate with these navigation arrows on the right and on the left, and also the page selector at the top. So at first sight, I feel I could navigate through this book quite easily. I imagine it also includes interactive activities. So how can I open them?
Right, let me show you. If we click on this icon here on the tools menu, we will see the different hotspots or areas of the book with interactivity, right? We can click on one of them to see the activities related to that part of the book. So when I have clicked on this side, you can see this icon here that has been added to the top menu, which says interactive activities. So we click on it and we'll see that the activity linked to this one is highlighted in blue, which in this case, there's no activities. So let's try and open a new one here. See, now this grammar A activity has been highlighted in blue. So if I click on it, I can open the activity that links to this rubric here. So I click on it, and here we have the activity.
That's great. Can we make the activity bigger?
Yeah, we can click on this icon here on the right-hand corner, and it will go full screen, right? Better?
Okay, yeah, I think that's much better. And I can see you can show the answers one by one.
Yes.
Or all of them at once, which both options I think are really useful when you're teaching in the classroom.
Yeah, most of our activities are self-corrective, so you will have this option to show the answers to your students or to do the activities all together in the class if you want to. Some of the activities are non-gradable, that is, they are open answer activities that teachers will correct manually, but most of them are like this one, self-corrective.
And do the students see the answers?
No, the answers at first are hidden to the students, but they can see them after 2 attempts.
That's very useful for self-study. How about the activity that includes, or activities that include audio or video?
Right, in that case, you will see the audio or video player integrated with the activity so that you can have it on hand while doing the activity. I think the activity that we had open is a good example, I think. I'm going to open it again. And here, as you can see, the audio player is there. You can play the audio, and you can also display the text for your students to read along with the audio.
Can I zoom in here to increase the size of the text? Because some students from the end of the classroom maybe don't see it.
Yeah, the zoom tool is not available when you have an activity opened, but you still can zoom it using the Control and the plus buttons in your keyboard as in any other website. You see? Is that better?
Yeah, now it's really big.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go back to the original size. And if I close the activity, I can show you the zoom tool, which is here, right? So going back to the page of the book, we can see the zoom tool in the top menu. And with this tool, we can increase the size of the book up to 300%. So it's one of the new features that we have released this year, and it's quite useful for readings like the one that we have just opened, because you could, for example, zoom in the text, this one, for example, for your students to read. And at the same time, you could click on the interactive icon to open the audio and have both things on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And what about the tools for the interactive whiteboard? Can you show them to us?
Yeah, sure. These are the tools that are on the left side menu here. And let's see what we have. We have a pen tool to draw on the book within this green frame. And if we click on this little triangle here, we can select the thickness of the pencil and the color. And then you are now able to draw anything on the page, right? To delete it, we can use the bin tool here. And to close the tool, we can click on the X icon. The next one is a text tool that allows us to add some text, any part of the book. Right, and exactly the same as we did with the pencil, if we open this triangle menu here, we can select the text color, the background of the text, and the size of our note, right? Click here to go out. The next one is the highlighter. We can choose the thickness and the color, and we can then highlight any text we want from the book, right? Similar to the pencil. And the last one here is the notes tool, which I think is my favorite because it works like a mix of a highlighter and a notes tool because it is linked to a text. So to use it, click on it, and we have to select a text, for example, here. And when we release the mouse, you can see the icon, click on it, and you can add your notes or your comments or even a link if you want, right? And select a color for the text to highlight. We click on save, and anytime you move your mouse over the text, you will be able to see the note. Of course, you can delete it or you can edit anytime you want. And other way to access all your notes is accessing them through this menu on the top bar. If we click here, we can navigate through all the notes that we've been adding to our book.
And do students also have access to these tools?
Well, these are specific tools for teaching, so they only have access to the notes tool, which, as we have seen, can also be used as a highlighter. But I think it's even better than a simple highlighter because it allows students to add notes and reminders during the class for them to review later, right? So I think it's they have two tools in one, right? Mm-hmm. There is something else that I'd like to show you before we move forward to the next topic, which is the quick links menu here. This allows teachers to switch between the student's book and the workbook and quickly access other sections of each unit. Okay, so if we want to go to the workbook, we can click here and it will take us to the workbook without going back to the main menu and selecting the other components. See, here we are in the workbook.
And I can see it takes you to the same lesson in which you were in the student's book, which is, I think, really good when you're in the classroom.
Yes, it's quite easy and very straightforward. And if you want to go back to the student book, you just need to open the quick links again and click here to return to the digital student's book. Right?
That's great. Now, can we go back to the main menu? I really like to see the homework feature. Can you explain us how it works?
Yeah, that's a very useful tool. It is available for secondary, bachillerato, and adults courses. And it's a good moment to show this tool because so far we've seen the basics of our platform, which is what some teachers need as they use the digital to project in their interactive whiteboard, play audios and videos, and to do or correct the activities along with their students. Now, if you want to go further with digital, I think you will like the next tools that we're going to review. And the homework feature is something that we released last year. So some of you might already be familiar with it. And now we've made some improvements according to the feedback received from teachers. So going to access, it's worth to mention that in order to use the homework, you first need to create a class and add students to it. And the students need to activate their access code, right?
And how do I use it?
Right, yes, to create new homework, we need to access the tool and then we click on create new homework, right? Choose the class that you want to use in the homework. You have the possibility to add the homework or to assign the homework to the whole class or just to specific students, okay? So we select the students. In this case, we only have one, so it's quite easy. We click on next. And here you will be able to select the activities that you want to send to your students. So from the digital student book, from the workbook, or from the preparation and practice. So we're choosing some activities from the digital student book. For example, those grammar activities, you can open them if you want to remind which activities they were. So I'm going to select all these activities. So 6 in total, okay? Once we're happy, we click on next. And here you can configure your homework and select a start date. That can be today and a due date, for example, Monday. You can choose if you want to accept submissions past this date. You can put a title for your homework. Right? You can edit your name here and you can add more instructions for your students or even add a link for their reference or whatever you want to add in this text box. We click on next. Right? This is to review what we've done. Okay, if we are happy, we send to students. Right? Once the homework has been sent, if students have installed the Macmillan Education Student App on their smartphones, they will receive a notification on their mobiles, so they know that there are new tasks for them. And one of the improvements that we've made this year to this tool is that now you can access any piece of homework sent to edit or to share it with your students using Google Classroom. For example, if you are using this tool, you can just click here and it will synchronize with your Google Classroom to share this piece of homework with your class, or you can share it using any other communication system that you have with your students. It might be an email or WhatsApp or any other messaging tool in any platform, because it's as simple as to share this link. You copy this link and you share it with your student using the tool you want. Okay, so it's, I mean, no excuses not to make the homework.
That's really nice. Good. Even though if it's not a teacher component, could we see a bit of the student's app? Do you think that's possible?
Sure. Let me log in as a student. I'm going to open a new tab here and log in as a student. Out as a teacher, log in. Okay, so the students components are inside what we call the Macmillan Education Student App, that, as you can see, can be accessed from macmillaneducationeverywhere.com, and the platform can be used online, or students can download it and install on any device. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, if students install the app from Google Play or App Store in their mobiles, they will receive notifications every time the teachers assigns them homework. And another benefit for all their students is that they can access their course on the go whenever they are, right? For this session, again, I'm using the online version, the viewing browser option. Okay, so I'm going to click, it will open in a new tab. And when they access, they will see the different components included in the license. Okay, so in this case, we have access to a digital student book, the digital workbook, and the preparation and practice, and also the student resource center. And among all these components, I would like to highlight the preparation and practice, which contains lots of gradable activities to practice their vocabulary, grammar, writing, and speaking skills. And some speaking activities here are really interesting because they have a recording feature, so students can record themselves and then the teacher can listen to their pronunciation and send an audio back for correction if they need. Okay, so it's quite, I mean, this component is very, very interesting for students. This app also has a challenge mode here that allows students to gain badges as they improve their skills. So in this mode, they will have a timer and they need to complete the activities before the time is over and without losing any lives, right? So it has a bit of a gamification flavor. And this makes the students repeat the activity over and over again if they wish to try to improve their results and to get more badges. And we all know how important repetition is when we speak about language learning. From here, they can also access their homework. Let me close this window. Okay, so the homework will be under the to do or the complete tabs, depending on the status of the homework. If we click on more here, the students will see the option to join a class that we mentioned at the beginning, remember? So if just wanted to show you this in case you get questions from your students, because I know it is a bit hidden. So here's where the join a class option is. And you finish this quick review of the student app. In this option here, progress, students will be able to check their own progress in the digital book. So if we open the course, we can see the course average score, the medals that we've won so far. And if we access the course here, we can see the status of the different components, right? And we can review all the activities that we've made and see the score and review the results and the answers here, okay? Right.
Okay.
I think maybe talking about progress here, I think it's a good moment for Ainhoa maybe to explain how teachers can track their students' progress within our platform.
Yes, of course. Can we go to the progress tracker of the teachers?
Yes, let me go back as a teacher. I'm accessing the progress here. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to open the class and access the progress tracker, and over to you so that you can explain.
Okay, so now that we are in the progress tracker in the Teachers app, let's see how it works. So the progress tracker, as you can see, or you've seen, is accessible from the main menu, and it provides the option to easily monitor the students' progress as they complete activities in any of the components available. First thing you need to do is to choose the component that you want to see the results of. Right. So in this case, we're going to look at the digital workbook, because usually that's the component where students work more or do more activities on.
Yes.
So let's see. Yeah. So this is the overall view of your class. Okay. Here we have a filter at the top to filter if we want to see the whole class, or if we only want to see one student. In this case, we only have one student because this is just for you to see how the platform works. But I understand that in your classes, you will have many more students. So then also, you've got more filters over there. For example, it says all units. You can choose to have all units or just one unit. I recommend you that if you're working on unit 1, for example, so you have just filtered unit 1 so that you see the results of unit 1. Okay, so now we only have the results of unit 1. And if you see there on the right also, it says all lessons. So depending on the lesson that you work in, so you choose one or the other. Okay.
Okay,
yes.
I'm going to reset all and go back to the main view of the progress tracker so that you can explain this main view. Okay.
Okay, so as you can see down there, we've got the name of the student, Lucas Garte. We have the units completed, and you will see there are lots of circles in there. Each of those circles stands for each of the units in the book. Okay, and you can see that 2 of them have like a clock sign in there. It means that they are in progress. that is, students are working on this unit and they haven't finished, or maybe they're just doing the activities that you have told them to do, okay? And then you can see that the rest of the circles are empty. That means that those units haven't been started. In this case, we don't have any question mark in there, but in the case you have it, it means that you have an activity that you have to review manually, okay? And in this case, we don't have any green circles, but if you had it, it would mean that it is completed, okay? Then if you go a bit more to the right, you can see the time that the student has spent doing these activities. In this case, it's been 16 minutes. And you can see the attempts that the student has done. It seems that there are quite a lot of attempts. So maybe this here is telling us that the student is having some kind of problems. And then on the right, you can see the score. In this case, it's 62%. I mean, so it seems again that he's having some kind of problems, and we can see the highest score, or we can choose to see the last attempt, which is theoretically going to be the best one, or the first attempt, which probably
will be worse. Yeah,
it will be worse. Okay. So it is quite clear that this student is having some trouble with the content in this unit. How about going to see Unit 1?
Okay, let me click on the student to open it.
Yes.
And I'm going to filter you only Unit 1, because here we have all the units and everything, so it might be a bit chaotic. So let's click on Unit 1 so that we can focus on it. There you are.
Okay, so now we have Unit 1, and as you can see there, we have the different sections in the unit. So, for example, we've got Unit 1 connections, 1.1 personality, 1.2, 1.3. That is the different sections of the unit. And for example, in the first section, we can see that all the activities have been done. They have been completed, and that we've got a 73%. So it is quite reasonable, right? But for example, in section 2, 1.2, we have all the activities done too, but it's 48%.
Yeah.
Let's maybe click on there.
Okay.
To see how the student is doing. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so here we can see on the left the different activities in there, right? We can also see the different attempts, right? So, for example, here at the top, and that they've been completed. So here at the top, it says two attempts. And if we go to the right, we can see that here, the first attempt, the student has done more or less like a 50%, what seems a 50%. So the student has repeated it, which is not too bad. But in the second attempt down here, we can see this line in green. The student's done much better. It's an 80%. Okay. All right. So, for example, let's see what happened in Grammar C. Let's see there. Can you see this eye here? That means that you can see the actual activity the student completed, so that you can see the mistakes, right? So here we see quite a few mistakes. It seems that the student is having problems or some troubles or some challenges with the tenses. So it probably means that he needs to do some more work on this aspect. Okay. And we can see the actual, the correct answers. We can switch between correct answers and the student's answers.
That's very complete. I like that we not only have access to the scores, which are very important, of course, but I also like that we can review the progress and see what the students is failing, no? So that we can, we can help them if they need.
Yeah, exactly. And here, for example, we can see that the student is really struggling with pronunciation, which is is quite common in Spain.
Yeah.
So, well, it probably means that we need to do more pronunciation activities.
Right. Yeah, that's very useful.
We've got this export button here, which I think it's very useful for when you're doing the evaluation at the end of the term. You can export all the results in an Excel or CSV file so that you can have all the details in one file and you can look at them like closer.
Yeah, and so edit, I think if you want, edit or work with them. That's really useful. And it is also compatible with other marking tools, for example, as VÍDEO or any other LMS that allows you to upload the scores into their platform. So that's really useful. And talking about third-party platforms, I know this was always important for teachers, but even more since the pandemic, where those tools and platforms have become very popular. So I'm sure many of you are already using these platforms. And I think it would be very useful to see how we can work with them and with our digital content included in the Macmillan Education Teacher App. So for those schools, I'm going to share my screen here. For those schools using Moodle or Moodle-based platforms, like for example, Alexia or ClickEdu, that I'm sure they are familiar to you, I'd like to let you know that our content included in Macmillan Education Teacher App, like Macmillan English Hub, for example, or Ready4, is compatible with all these platforms using marsupial licenses. So both teachers and students can access their digital books via the LMS they use. Schools just need to request it, and we will provide them with the marsupial licenses and the connection details needed to set up, or for your administrator to set up everything in their learning management systems. And regarding Teams and Classroom, we are working on making our digital content compatible with these tools. You've seen, for example, how you can share the homeworks directly in Classroom. Those of you using Classroom are for sure familiar with the little Classroom icon that is available in some platforms that allows you to share content directly in your Google Classroom. We don't have that icon integrated in our platform, in the content, in the book, but that doesn't mean that you can use our content with Google Classroom or with Teams. And I'd like to show you how very quickly. I'm going to open Google Classroom and open a class here. I don't know, for example, this one doesn't matter. Because what I want to show you is that when you are sharing an assignment or a task for your students, it's quite easy for you to share something from our platforms, right? So if we open the classroom, we're going to share material with your student, and that task or material might be to make the activities in the Macmillan English Hub platform. So we just need to create the task here, for example, and here we will just say to your student that they need to complete activity A, B, C on page, whatever, right? And to help the students to know where to access the activities, we can share the link to the platform with them. So for example, if they need to, you can add a link here and add the link to the platform of the student, which is student.macmillaneducationeverywhere.com. And we add the link and we can share this with our students for them to work in the platform with our content, but via Google Classroom, right? To track the student result, to be honest, I would prefer to use the progress tracker that I know has shown us. But I know some teachers prefer to ask their students to take photos or screenshots of the complete activities and upload them to the Google Classroom for them to correct. That is completely up to you. And if you want to go further and improve the digital literacy of your students, there are some activities in our books that are very likely to be extended using the Google or the Microsoft tools, for example. Now that we are talking about Macmillan English Hub and thinking about the Speaking Hub activities, those could be perfectly done by using Google tools. They are perfect if you want your students to work in pairs or groups and prepare a presentation using Google Slides, or working on a Google Doc simultaneously with their ideas to discuss, or even use Google Meet or Google Chat to share ideas and coordinate themselves to work on the different Speak and Hub activities. You can always use Google Meet, for example, for online classes. It offers different tools such as breakout rooms or a whiteboard to work collaboratively, right? So you also have access to the videos and the audios in the Teacher Resource Center. So you could also upload them to the Google Classroom or to Microsoft Teams to create a task related to that material, or to do kind of a flipped classroom and ask your students to watch the videos prior to the class. So I think there are many ways to use our materials with these third-party tools. So yeah, feel free to explore and to work with them. Okay, I think we can go back to our presentation, because I think Ainhoa wants to remind you about something.
Yes, I want to talk about Macmillan Advantage. Probably many of you already know it, all the users. We just want to remind you that Macmillan Advantage is a resources and help platform for all the users to make everything around your class more simple, so that you can focus on teaching and motivate your students. So there you can find lots of resources. For example, the all-in-one resources. These are all the resources in your course book. You can have access to them anytime and anywhere, if you have the password, of course. And you can access, for example, you can download the videos or the audios or all the photocopyables. Okay. Then also you have video tutorials on digital product. Like, for example, today, the video that we're doing today is recorded. You can access it from there. Okay, and if you have any problem, you can also access the help desk from there. We also have more than 1,000 resources for ELT, and they are classified by age and skills. It's like the Spotify of ELT. Basically, here you're going to find lots of resources, like for festivities or anything you might think of. Okay. Also, you can have access to more than 200 training videos, which are classified by age and type. So in case you need to extend your knowledge, so you can go there. And finally, we are always updating and adapting to your needs. So we are constantly putting new stuff in there. So here, down here, you have the address is advantage.macmillan.es. And I just have to say that this year, Macmillan Advantage is turning 5. Okay, so we simply have to say happy birthday, Advantage. Okay.
Happy birthday. Yeah. I would also like to remind you before we finish that we have a customer care department and a team of technicians that are available for you if you need it, and if you need any support from them regarding the digital platform. So you can reach them at atencioncliente@macmillaneducation.com. There's also a YouTube channel for you to access video tutorials and tips on how to make the most of our digital platforms. And of course, you can always contact your school representative if you need anything. So I think that's all I know. Time to say goodbye.
I think this is it. We've covered everything we wanted to cover about our digital platform. We hope you like it and that you find it useful. And yeah, this is it.
Well, many thanks then, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.